Hey everybody, my name is Mike Pitt. I'm a pediatric hospitalist. And what that means is I take care of kids that are sick enough to be in the hospital. It also means I know the pain points of the hospital well. So both as a doctor and an administrator, but as well as a patient, a parent, and a loved one of patients. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about what we're doing at Q Rounds, a digital solution to solve one of the most frustrating parts of being in the hospital, and that's waiting around. So this question, not knowing the answer to this question, when will the doctor be here, is one of the major sources of frustration and expenses and inefficiencies for hospital systems. Each morning as a doctor, we make rounds. So we join the medical students, we meet up with the nurses, the patients, ideally the families of the patients, to discuss the most important plans for the day, why the patient's in the hospital, when they get to go home. Medicine is a team sport, and not being able to coordinate when we all arrive to the room by not knowing when the doctor will be there is a major source of frustration and problems. Let's take a look at that. One, communication is the single greatest source for medical errors and malpractice claims in hospitals. Not getting the entire team at the bedside sets up a very dangerous telephone game where we're not there to hear the plan for the day. Also, this leads to decreased bed turnover. The doctor is the rate limiting step for a patient being discharged on discharge day. Not knowing when they're arriving and coordinating that causes patients to stay minutes, hours, even days beyond discharge, and each minute costs hospitals money. But the emotional core of this problem, if you've been a patient or if you've been the loved one of a patient, is when you don't know when the doctor's going to be there, that is an exhausting, stressful place to be. Not knowing if you can go to the bathroom, if you can get a cup of coffee, or even make it to the hospital in time to hear about your loved one's care is a pain point we can solve with Q Rounds. So how do we do that? We are an AI-powered virtual queue that provides time transparency to increase attendance at daily round. So time transparency, we've come to expect this, especially in the pandemic, in every arena of our life. When is my package going to arrive? When's DoorDash getting here? When's it my turn for a haircut? When's the table ready? The one place it matters the most, we don't do this well at all. And that's what we're solving. So how does it work? We have developed a software solution where providers see their patient list in the morning. This is imported from the electronic health record. With AI and their own decision making, they optimize the rounding order they plan to go. And when they hit start rounds, that pushes a text message to every stakeholder for that patient. The family, the parents, the nurse, it gets sent to the nurse communication device, documented in the electronic health record. And they can click on that single hyperlink to follow real-time updates. I'm 8th to be seen, I'm 6th to be seen, I'm next to be seen. And when I'm next, I can press a button to join rounds virtually from anywhere in the world. My dad was hospitalized for three weeks last month. And every meeting I started with, I'm gonna have to go sometime between 7 a.m. and 2 because I'm gonna get a really important phone call to join rounds. We're trying to eliminate that process and treat people with respect with time transparency. Having the answer to this question decreases medical errors, gets the team. This is a best practice that happens about 5% of the time. We can make it 100% of the time. We can improve hospital throughput by making discharge days more efficient. And ultimately, we can improve patient experience by treating them as valuable members of the healthcare team. This is a big market, so we can make money in this space. Our go-to-market strategy is academic children's hospitals. We're focusing on children because every single pediatric patient has a family member that needs to be updated. We're priced as a software as service company at a contract of about $300,000 per hospital in our go-market strategy. Have great traction doing our first developmental MVP with our development partner, mHealth Fairview, are in G beta. Our team is poised for this with PhD educators and computer programming, a business lead, and advisors that have run this race before. Thank you for letting us tell you about Q Rounds. We're excited for you to partner with us to try to make the hospital system more efficient, less frustrating by taking the waiting around out of rounds. And I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Great presentation. How does it integrate with other software and systems within the hospital? And how do you, second question to that is, why can't some of those same platforms just add this on as another?
Yeah, let's do the first question first. So one is, this is easy integration through APIs through many technologies, the electronic health record, the communication devices hospitals are already using, so pager devices, phone devices. So those are actually all just code. So that part is actually quite easy to do those integrations. We're uniquely poised as one, we are in this nice market of a Venn diagram of clinical decision support, telehealth, and patient engagement. And there are players in each of those spaces. We have been laser focused on this for 2.5 years and are way ahead of them. So one of the plays certainly may be partnering with people that already have that customer base, white labeling things, making their product better, but we have a really unique angle in the market.
Is there room for additional product add-ons beyond this initial application?
Yes, so this is our entry point. Once we have this relationship with families in the hospital, which is quite unique, real-time texting about the care while a patient's hospitalized, we see ourselves as a patient satisfaction gathering tool. So these are surveys that die in a mailbox, and they're 3 weeks after you get out of the hospital, and the response rate's below 10%. We actually think we can do real-time patient satisfaction that's actionable, and maybe even the bigger product.
Love the passion, by the way.
Thank you.
So from an NPS perspective, this makes a lot of sense to me. So I guess my question is, does having these queues on a delivery perspective show an increased efficiency?
Yes, so we've done 3 pilots in our system. The very first pilot was in the NICU during COVID. So these is heartbreaking to say that parents were not allowed in the hospital. I mean, just to remember that was a year ago that this was happening. That first family that was in Duluth got a text message when it was time to round on their patient. The med student who was not allowed in the hospital got a text message to present from St. Paul, and the nurses were at the bedside. We were able to kind of implement that right away, in the hospital system. Our pilot we're doing right now is to get to those value points. How are we showing bed? So we have patient satisfaction, no question, to your point. But those metrics of the value proposition, bed turnover, getting the best practice of the team to the beds, ultimately health outcomes from that communication benefit. That's what we're studying at the university.
Is this going to be used beyond just when your provider will see you? Will be your loved one's out of the OR, your loved one is out of their X-ray?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Once we've developed this time transparency, this does not just apply to rounds, it applies to your food is on the way to the room. There are just a lot of things that you don't get treated with the dignity that you get anywhere else as a consumer except in the hospital.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're gonna have to wrap it up at that